Hey, from our Classic Rock Corner series, stay tuned for guitar tutorial on the verse and interlude of Lynyrd Skynyrd's Sweet Home Alabama. In this live stream today, I'm going to show you about 5 different concepts that will enable you to play it. So we shall be right back. How's it go? 3, 4. Turn it on. Good day, and we're going to do about that much. I did the intro not too long ago, so now we're going to do the verse and the chorus. I mean the verse and the interlude, and you're probably best off doing this first, or watching this video first. Okay? So into verse and interlude. Get my words straight here. So we decided to do this again. I did this a while ago, wasn't happy with it. I'm always working on the audio here. Sorry, folks. We shall get going in a minute. And again, I'm Mike Violette of String Sound Studios. Glad you joined us. Doing a Classic Rock Corner series. Thinking of adding a few more type series. What do you guys think out there? What do you think, Kelly, since you're watching right now? How about a TV and movie score series? And how about Women That Rock, huh? Or just women that play music. Women that we got to think of some new segments here, but I kind of like those, so we'll get going to that. Now, we're streaming to you from all different platforms. We're multi-streaming, so it's live streaming, yes, but we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Facebook, we're on Vimeo, we're on Twitter, and a few other obscure ones that are up and coming. Okay? So we talked about 5 different concepts, at least 5 different concepts, and we'll get going, and that will be common tones, common fingerings, alternate picking, hammer-ons, sweep picking, and half capos. So let's get started. I'm going to zoom in. Hopefully everything sounds good, and we're going to get right to it. All right? Did I leave anything out? Not really, but the goal of doing this is to be educational, entertaining, and you guys can send me feedback here. Okay? So please watch, please tune in. Let me know what you want me to do. Here we go. All right, so I always zoom in, and we're going to start right out with the verse. We will not do the intro. We start right out with the verse, and here we go. Hopefully you can see this nice and big. All right, one of the first things you have to do when you learn this song or any song, and I mentioned common tones and common fingerings, all right, I would just finger the chords out. So we're going to do this and anchor that 3rd finger on the D. All right? That's probably one of the best ways to do this. It's going to be a D chord, all right? A D, we could say a D sus2, but it doesn't really play the high E so much. Then we're going to go to this C9 chord or C sus2, then we're going to go right to a G chord. So we're really only doing this. All right? But what I want you to do first, before you do any picking, because there's some picking here, right? Alternate picking and hammer-ons and things of that nature, and sweep picking. All right. What I want you to do, and of course we discussed half capos, all right? What I want you to do is I want you to just take this here, you hold this down, all right, that D there, and you put that there, and that's an A note. Get them close to the fret. If you're taking a look, get those close to the fret, and just strum. You can strum from the 4th string up. I'm going to keep my headphones on. Reasons why I have headphones is I hear myself better, okay, through the mix. Until I get my audio to 100% what I want. All right, here we go. Strum that chord, all right? Just these 3 notes. You can throw the E in there if you want, but or mute it. Alright? Just strum, because we're just strumming. Now, when you go to this C chord, take a look. Okay? This is going to stay there. That's what we call, that's what I'm talking about, common tones and common fingerings. Alright? So this is a common tone between both chords. Meaning one or more notes that share 2 or more chord names. Okay? So you have the same note in more than one chord name. In this case, there's 3 different chord names that share one of the same notes. So we do the D. Let's do that again. Now we're just going to go to C. When I do this C chord, okay, you're going to need this D open. Alright? See that? So you're just strumming these inside strings. You're just strumming 5, 4, 3, and 2. See that? Then I go 5, 4, 3, 2. And remember, you don't play like this. I think you know that. It's just easier to look here and pick everything here. So I have this. And I have this. Now I'm going to go to the G chord. And one of the things you do on the G chord, okay, is you kind of mute this out. So it's kind of a natural mistake. It's a mistake you want to make. However, if you are doing finger picking and you're picking, you're not strumming, you really can keep this a little more fingertip. Well, let's just say, how are you going to mute that? Well, instead of playing way up on your fingertip, like this, where that would be open, you kind of angle it a little bit. See that? And that's going to mute. All right? When you practice, you have to realize, well, sometimes I have to play very much on my fingertip, like this. Okay, see the indentation? And sometimes I have to play more like this. See the indentation? All right, and there's all different ways to do that. All right? Because you want to be able to mute notes and not mute notes. So you want to play way up, play more by your nail. Okay? That's very important. And you do finger exercises like this. So you play right by your nails here. Everything right by your nails. You have to be able to do that. You can't have any nails either. But you have to be able to do that. Play right there. And then, of course, play in various spots. Of course, there's capos too as well. All right. These are all important points. So let's do that again. We're going to strum. Let me show you how to pick it. Okay? Alternate picking. Here's my D chord. Go to the C. Then I'm going to go to the G chord. So again, I have this. Oops. Put the album on. Okay, the recording. I'm showing my age. What's an album? 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Play it again. So those are our chords. Now in the verse, remember we're just doing the verse here. If you're playing in your band, rhythm guitar, you just want to do that and someone else is doing the hot picking, okay? You can do that as well. You can do this finger style, you can do with a pick. I'm not getting into finger style versus a pick. What I'm going to show you is all finger style, and I play a lot here. Finger style because it's easier to show. Trying to play here with a pick is like nearly impossible, okay? But I can do my fingers, and I do use a lot of finger style. Yes, I can play with a pick. For various reasons, I do a lot of finger styles in the live streams and when I do videos. Okay. Now we're going to show you simply what he does, or one guitar does, in the verse. Okay? So that's after the intro. Watch. You got alternate picking. You're on the D chord. Down, up, then hold in strum. Okay. Same thing on the C chord. Same thing on the G. Bass note, up. So again, you're going to do this. Oh, sorry. Go to the C. That's the next step. You practice this. again, D, down up on the 4th string, open, move to here, hold that down, right? C chord, G. So practice that over and over. Now we're going to work on the pick. We did the common tones and common fingerings. Okay, explain that to you. Meaning this is a D chord. I have the same note with the same finger. Okay, you could have common tones with not common fingerings. Meaning you have to switch to something like this, but that's not a common fingering. It's the same chord. All right, but common tones with common fingerings. And we just did some strumming. Okay. Now we did some alternate picking, doing the bass notes of each chord, meaning the root. In this case, the root of the chord is in the bass. Meaning the root of a chord is, if it's a D chord, the lowest note here is a D. Okay, we're playing root position chords. Lowest note of the chord is a C. Lowest note of the chord is a G. Those are my bass notes. Make sense? So what we have now is we're going to do this riff here that goes like this. Now you can't see that, that's why I'm going to play here. The way you do that, you need to get hammer-ons, all right? Hammer-ons and watch. So there's no pull-offs in this section, okay? But watch, what is a hammer-on? Well, a hammer-on is playing a note by use of your fretting hand only. In my case, my left hand. Your fretting hand is the one that presses the strings. Your picking hand is the one that picks the strings. And of course, it could be opposite if you play righty or lefty or whatever that is. Okay? Lefties play righty, righties play lefty if you want to look at it like that. I'm fretting with my left hand. All right, a hammer-on goes like this. So you're going to play this note. Here's that riff, right? Now the way you hammer on is you take that like a hammer, all right? I always talk about this, very important. And I swing right into that string and I mash it into the fretboard. So you have to get some motion. If you're a novice, say, beginner, intermediate, you have to work on a little more height, right? A little more height to get that out. And as you get better and more accurate, keep it lower to the string. I'm showing you for purposes of illustration. For example, if you're hammering a nail, and I always use this analogy, you're going to go like this. You're not just going to push that nail in. All right? You got to bam, bam. Like knocking on a door or anything else. Or if you play piano, it's a percussion instrument, right? So you got to hit those keys. So this is similar. Kind of like similar to striking a piano key. Just think of yourself tapping on a desk, right? You want to get sound. So, or, I guess when you type, you got to lift up a little bit. So, here we go. Now, when you hammer, I try to hammer. It depends on what we're doing. In this case, we want to hammer close to the nail here. All right? Keep that curved. So I'm going to lift up a little bit. Watch. And make sure when you do the hammer, make sure you don't rush it. What I see often is people go like that. And the hammer doesn't come out. Hear the note first that you're playing, then hammer. It's a form of a slur on the guitar. So we have this. See that? All right, so the riff goes like this. We're going to do this, then we're going to do hammer-ons. We're going to do a sweep pick. All right, what's that? Well, let me show you. Watch. This is how it goes. Now, this is the verse part. Now, what do I mean by sweep picking? Well, I'm just dragging the pick across the strings. I'm not doing an alternate pick. For example, play this, then play this up, then play this down. Alternate picking is very valuable to guitar, and so is sweep picking, or I don't know, people call it hybrid picking. You pick whatever you can. You have finger style, fingers, and pick whatever you need to do to get the sounds out in your ideas, okay? But in general, we have alternate picking, sweep picking, strumming. So here we have this. Watch, open, and I'm going to drag this. So my next two notes were D, right, and then G. So I play the open fourth and the open third string. So I have this. Hammer, open A. That's a B note there. Then I play the open D. One more time, watch. All right, what does it do after that? What I do after that is you play the note you ended that on, right? It's a little bit what we call syncopated, and the whole time, remember, this is down. You don't have to pick that up until you get to the interlude. So you play this again. So the note kind of break the phrase up, phrase musical sentence, right? You do the first half of it in the second. So the ending note of the first half of the phrase is the starting note of the second half of the phrase. And it goes back to this. Now watch. That's your verse. Well, that's the riff in the verse at least, right? So we have this. So basically what happens is I'm going to play it a little bit from the beginning. I do it slow, do the picking here. Down, up. Sorry, here. So again, what he does in the verse is he alternates those parts, right? First up, you have the riff. I'll just play it down here so I can play a little better. Ready? Listen. 3, verse. Then he goes to the interlude. So the first time he does the riff. The second time just plays the G chord twice. So basically what's happening when you do this, right? This takes place of a G chord. The second time he just plays the bass G chord twice and again. So he alternates those two parts in the verse, as you heard. All right? Makes sense out there. If you're watching and you just want to say hi, you're not interested in any music questions, that's fine. If you don't play guitar, just say, "Hi, Mike, how you doing?" Let me know how it sounds. Let me know how you feel about playing Sweet Home Alabama. And if you are a guitarist or aspiring guitarist, a novice beginner, tune in and ask me some questions. Let's stick with this tune though. I got to do an open forum one night when I get a little more popular here. All right. So again, I'm going to take that again. Remember, this is not the introduction. I'm doing verse and interlude where he sings over. So we have this. Second time. Third time, same as first. Now you might be saying this, "Mike, you're getting that kind of staccato," and I am. Not so much on the D chord because that's open, but watch. When I do this, a slight lift. Dot, dot. I think he does this too, but I'm not doing that. Sometimes they do like a hammer pull off on the A. I don't want to get too crazy here. But it's more. Alright? However, it's fine if you just want to do this, and I would recommend Meaning staccato, you play, you release, you play. I'm not taking my finger off the fretboard. I'm going like this. And just deadenate it. Play dead. Dot, 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 dot. And again, the way you do that is not with this. You can hear picking sounds. You do it with this. You play, you release. Watch. See how that stops? But it's quick. So you can get that bump, 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 bump. I would recommend doing that later and getting the bass line. So just keep it down the whole time and worry about your picking. And you probably say, well, Mike, why are you telling us that? Then that's kind of what he does. Not all the time. That's just another way to do it. You can cut that rhythm up a little bit. Get that staccato in there. That staccato short accent on the note, okay? Unattached. All right, so here we go. We did that. Now we're going to concentrate on the interlude. All right? And that comes directly after the first verse, then goes into the second verse. All right? Real popular tune, great tune. Love Lynyrd Skynyrd, always have since I was a kid. I remember listening to this on my parents' station, so goes back a way. I'm not sure exactly. I think it's 1972. So yep, I'm old. All right, here we go. We'll zoom over here a little bit. Now, what happens is we have to go to seventh position. All right, remember position now. We're counting on the guitar. We don't want to go 1, 3. We want to go 1, 3, 5, 7. My dots, for the most part, fret markers. Some people, they got all kinds of crazy, these inlays here, dots, and all kinds of crazy things. Sometimes every fret. I like to have none on guitars, maybe just on the side here. Like classical guitars don't really have any. I'm fine with that. Because I do play classical guitar too. But when you count 3, 5, 7, make sense? This is seventh position. So my interlude part is going to start in seventh position. And that sounds like this. Now play here. You're going to play on the fifth string. And you go 1, 2, 3. All right? All right. So now we're up to our fifth concept. We talked about common tones, common fingerings, alternate picking, hammer-ons, sweep picking, and now we're going to talk about little half capos. But right now, in a minute, we'll talk about the half capos. Okay? I got 1, 2, 3. Now notice, people, when you move up, I notice people do all kinds of funny things with your thumb. All right? I try to, not that you never do this, try to keep this behind the neck as best as you can. Okay? Because you want to play like this, and you want to keep that pressure here. And you want to keep it behind the second finger. The other thing I'm saying is people try to play up here and they'll leave their thumb back here. You don't want to bind here like this. See this here? You don't want that. I mean, if you can help it. Sometimes you have to do that. But play out like this and you'll be able to play a lot of different ways. I'm not saying you never do this. You know, you kind of get this in here. I mean, I do that all the time. Like I'm doing a chord like this. I'm doing it on purpose. I'm playing this note with this part of my finger, with this part of my hand. Okay? Cool, right? Okay. All right, learn something else. But anyway, let's go back to this. We're going to do this 1, 2, 3 in seventh position on the fifth string. So, and that's your rhythm. Ba-da-da. What do I do now? Okay? I need a little half capo. All right? And what I'm doing is I'm pressing the fourth string, and what a capo means is like cap, right? C-A-P-O. Cover to the top, all right? Capo, cover, like cap. And I'm pressing on 1 and 3, okay? Hey, Rock shared a video to my Facebook. I hope you can't see that on the screen. See all these things popping up. I don't think you can. So here you go. Thank you, Rox. Here we go. 1 and 1. That's all you need are these two notes. But a capo is super important. All right, now I'm going to switch to the side a little bit so you can see that. First things, notice, right? I got to keep it square to the fret. The second thing you might notice, if you take a look, right, is I do this here. I'm not exactly, you do this, I'm not exactly flat. Alright? I'm just doing this. You got to play capos flat sometimes because you want to get the higher notes of the capo, like these two strings. And you also need that flexibility in this part of your finger. So I'm keeping this knuckle a little bit higher. That's important. You see that? It's not down like this, even with the fretboard. It's up a little bit because I need to get this. All right? And I know that. I need to get here. I need to get back to here. So let's take a look. I'll play it this way. Good camera angle, right? How do I do this? See that? I'm going to go back to that. Now I'm going to straighten out and do that. Oh, look at that camera angle. Got a camera person here on one of those chairs. All right, so here we have this. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Play these twice. I'll show you here. Watch. All right, just strumming these two notes. Rhythm is 1. Now remember, I should try to show you the technique of this. Down, up, and then sometimes I play this all down here. Again, it's tough to play here. Down, up, right? Down, up with my thumb, right? Down, up. That's how you should be picking this. All right, now we're going to go here, back to 5th position. Same type of technique, but we don't do 1, 2, 3. We go 1, 3. Sorry, let me move. All right, so it's just this. So again, let's go back to 7th position. Now I go back to 5th. Same type of chord, just doing 1, 3. Let's do that one more time because we got one more chord to do. All right, so I have this. 5th. And again, notice I'm stopping that chord. This, I'd like you to stop the chord there if you can. All right? Lift up. Little staccato there, right? Just give it a little push up and down. Go back to 5th. Now what? All right, the last chord of that. By the way, this is a D chord. That's a C chord. If you take a look at this, all right. Oh yeah, that's my bar D chord like this. Alright, so there's that part of it. And then you have this, what we call riff here, little motif here. 3rd in the bass, that's a G chord, right? Same type of thing. Oops, sorry, 1, 3. Now what are we going to do? We're going to go back to 1st position, and there's 2 ways to do this. I'm going to show you the hammer. I'm going to play this B flat here. So I'm going to play this, hammer this. So I have this here. Again. So I play this, similar to some of the things in the beginning. Sorry. Hammer. Play the B flat. This is a B flat here on the 5th string. 1st position. I'm going to play that. Hammer, then drag the pick. Then I go to a low G. And he does this interlude part twice. There's 3 guitars in here. They're all playing different things. So we could really rip this whole thing apart and show you every part. But anyway. Again. Then it's back to the verse. Now that riff he does right after this, watch. Oops. Second time, he's going to go back to the verse, he just does this. And then it's back to the D chord. And that takes you back to the verse. Let me play that whole interlude back to the verse part. Again! Now watch. And take advantage of that. Move back to second position, right? Then he does this, right? And so that's your verse in your interlude. I'm going to play it a few times. Just zoom out. I'm going to play it a few times. I'm only going to do that much. I don't want to play the whole song. I want you to concentrate on this. Actually, I can play the whole song. Nah, I'm not going to right now. Let's just concentrate on this. Might be a little rusty on some parts. Well, let me just play this. Let's focus on this. All right, ready? So as it goes. 2, 3, 4. Turn it up. Verse. Big wheels keep on turning. Get me home to see my kid. Singing songs about the Southland. I'm missing a band and once again and I think it's a sin. Interlude. Yes. Back to the verse. Alright, then comes your chorus. We have to say that for another time. I didn't want to go into that and play that. So we're going to play that again from the beginning. Now I can't do nothing about it. I have to start from the intro because that's where the backing track starts. So you can go back and watch. I have a video on the introduction only. That's a little more hot picking, but remember, start with the verse and the interlude. You know, who says you got to learn the tune from the beginning? Yeah, when you go to learn, once you learn it, you can play with your group. You can play it, for your friends or yourself or whatever. Yes, but it's okay to go to a similar section because I think it's important to learn the verse and interlude first because it's simpler. Now remember, he's not playing all that hot picking over the singing. You can't do that. You just bump into the singer. All right, they got 3 guitars anyway, so keep it simple. All right, I'll do it again. Here's my backing track here. Does it look good with the headphones? Do I look silly? I want to get some new headphones. All right, here we go. 3, 4. Turn it up. First, wheels keep on turning. Carry me home to see my kid. Singing songs about the Southland. I miss Alabama once again. I think it's a sin, yeah. He goes back to the verse. All right. So again, what do? Well, let me zoom out. We did a lot today. And that went rather smooth, I think, on my end. All right, what do we talk about? When you do the song, make sure you just practice strumming these chords. We're reviewing now, we're recapping, right? And you go here. And you learn that first. And you do these. Once you get that going, you can start doing the picking. Bass line, all right? I would just do that over and over. You can let that ring or hold it. Now, after you get that going, then start in that riff. Nothing says you can't practice this riff, okay, up here. I mean, don't play up here. I'm just, you take a look, right? I don't want to zoom back in. Play that, you know, you don't have to do everything all at once. Play the riff over and over. Do it 1,000 times. All right, that's 999, 998. All right, so there you go. Play that riff. Then start incorporating it into the song. Okay? What you can do is, way to practice, just play the G chord and go. Alright, and then start from the G chord. Now we know the second time, he just plays the G chord. And he goes back to the day, right? And I say, third time, riff. However, just play this over and over. Play the D to the C to the riff. Watch. Right? It's so fun. Just keep playing that riff over and over. All right? Nothing says, oh, Mike, it goes like this, but nothing says you practice like that. Yes, we know it does the G chord twice the second time. And break things up, and then you put them together. Don't start from the beginning all the time. Do things in segments, put them together. One day you work on maybe just this. All right, get that going, or just this. Strum. I'll get the chords. It's over, and then you play. All right, this. Ring. Then you do this again. Keep doing that in time. 4, and you hear that riff. Sing that riff in your head. Right? So you don't always have to put everything in the song right away. If I'm doing this, I'm singing the riff in my head as I hold the G chord, right? Watch. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Hear it? And then, if you could hear that in your head, then start putting it in. So you got this. This is very important you get this down, I think. Because what happens in the introduction, he does something similar to that, but it's a little bit different, right? A little more hot picking. Alright, here's Richard. And there's a few guitar parts in there. You hear the other part. I never did that part on a live stream or a video. Maybe I could show you that part. break this tune up. They got 3 guitars. You got to do every single part. But that's the gist of the song. Get that going, and then move on to the introduction. Go to the verse. Then work on the chorus. Work on the chorus because that has some, hot picking in there. It's a little bit different as far as the chords go. Okay, so get that Johnny B. Good thing. So you have that going on. I got to do a lesson on that one day. All right, Sweet Home Alabama it is. Call to actions. Join us next week. I hope I do a live stream. Pulling my hair out with the audio here. I'm so fussy. Remember to sign up for our Play Like a Pro video courses. I have the Pure Beginning Guitar course if you're a beginner. I have the Beginning Blues Guitar course and a Midway Blues Guitar course, and those would all kind of follow in a curriculum if you did those 3. I also have a ukulele course, beginning ukulele course. And you can download those at String Sound Studios and our videos All right, any questions? Give me a shout through various ways of getting in touch with me, through my website, our email, so forth and so on YouTube. You know what I forgot to do today? Sorry, I forgot to put this on Instagram. All right, we'll get back to that next week. So remember, practice, watch me live streams, and keep it going. Anything else here? Did I leave anything out? Follow us on all social media. All right. Have a good day. Thanks for joining us. And I'm still trying to always do this. Have a good day.